All-Star Game 2024 Indianapolis. That was pretty eventful. There was a lot of stuff that went down. Some good stuff, some positives and some negatives. Not It's still kind of they're trying to recapture what the All-Star Game's all about, but it feels like they're doing a little too much. I don't know
Yeah.
about you. The all like the court stuff that they were doing is pretty cool, but it feels
Yeah.
like a lot of what the All-Star Game's becoming is just gimmicks, and it's like all I want to see from the All-Star Game, and we kind of talked about it in a video a few weeks ago. It's just like let the players wear their actual team's uniform and
Yeah.
then make people try. Like, I just want to see effort. I love Draymond was like on the mic with I forget who he was on the mic with. It was one of the female reporters, and she was asking who Dre thinks is gonna win the Finals MVP, or not the Finals MVP, the All Star Game MVP. And she was like, "What about Luca?" And he was like, "Luca's not gonna try." And like the funny thing is we all knew that. Like, I don't think anybody was going in there like, man, Luka's gonna come out here and kill this thing. Nobody thought Jokic was gonna go out there and kill this thing. Jokic was just getting his cardio in. A lot of guys. It tends to be the guys like Damian Lillard who are the only ones that really start, going for anything. I remember Russ one year was like, okay, well, he's the only one who cares about this at all. Just went absolutely nuts. So, um, I just want to see people try more because it's like why even go, why bother watching and all that stuff outside of like if you're covering it or whatever the case may be there. But yeah, what are your thoughts on the whole All-Star weekend? How do you think it turned out? Are you a fan? Do you think it was a step in the right direction? Or
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that, man. They did push a little too hard for it. It was all right. It wasn't too bad. It's just I think at seeing previous All-Star games and previous All-Star weekends, it doesn't really come close anymore for me anymore. I don't know if that's just because I'm older now or what, but I just feel like All-Star weekends in the past meant something. And I'm not saying this
no?
one did. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that it feels like this one was just maybe a little it doesn't hit the same, I guess, for me, is what I would say.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know where the competitive spirit went. It feels like this is just the entire All-Star break is just used as like a gap for the playoffs of like, okay,
Yeah.
I can take my foot off the gas pedal. It's like, sure, but it's the same. It's like the whole load management thing. It's like people are paying. I mean, the All Star game is not cheap. It might be in Indiana, but it's not cheap. And people are paying good money to go see all the best players in the league. And you've got fucking Scotty Barnes in the middle of the skills challenge, just throwing the ball behind his head. Guys not listening to instructions and just dribbling it off their legs or missing the marks. And Anthony Edwards trying to shoot left handed and not taking it seriously. It's like, I get that it's supposed to be fun, and I agree that there needs to be a level of fun had, but it just feels like a waste of everybody's time if all the players are just treating this like it's like it absolutely means nothing. You
Yeah.
know, to me that's a slap in the face to the fans personally. Um, and I'm not even someone that's like, oh, the fans are always the right ones. It's like, is there some cases where that's the correct thing, but there are others where I vehemently disagree with that. But this is one of those. It's like, come on, like
Yeah.
you put on a show for them. Not don't just go out there and like fuck around for an hour and a half because this is just a break for you. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to change it. I don't like. It doesn't seem like Adam Silver really gives a shit about that. It still feels like just a weekend of gimmicks and hey, check out this court. You remember 2K17? Come
Yeah.
check out what we did. It's like, that was another funny thing is seeing that they're like unveiling the court thing, and it's like, hey man, I played 2K. I've seen this before. I'm not impressed. It's like, listen,
Yeah.
I've seen it. So they were doing it on college courts too. All right. I remember Freak. Yeah, I remember all that stuff. Orange juice. Come on now. But nah, starting things off though with the All-Star weekend is we had the Rising Stars challenge.
Mhm.
I didn't get to see the Rising Stars challenge. However, I saw quite a bit of highlights. I got to see Brandon Pajemski, Warriors Rising Star, hit a little step back three off a pass from Jaime Jaquez. Sick. Uh, and I saw Jalen Williams pretty much hit the dagger or buzzer beater for
Yeah.
Team Jalen
Oh, yeah.
in the Rising Stars final. So you're a Thunder fan. I imagine that was pretty cool to see. Plus, Chet was there
Yeah.
and
Casey Wallace too.
Kaysen too. I was gonna ask if Kaysen was there. Yeah, so Kaysen, that's sick. Yeah, you guys had numbers there, man,
Yeah.
at the entire All Star weekend itself. So that seems pretty cool. But uh, yeah, I didn't watch it, so I don't have too much to comment on there. I watched a couple of the highlights. But it looks like Benedict Mathurin had himself a
Did.
good quarter, which is cool
Yeah, from
for
what
all
I
the
saw.
Pacers fans.
Yeah.
18 points, two boards in the first semifinal, so that's sick. Wemby had himself a good second quarter, and good for Mac McClung. He had a good little moment on top of being in the dunk contest once again.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, moving on, we have the All Star Skills Challenge. Now, this is my big kind of complaint of the entire weekend. It was they're just not taking it seriously at all.
Yeah.
I love watching the hockey All Star Weekend to see the skills challenge because that's where you really get to see like, damn, these guys are nuts. Like they try. The Pro Bowl, I don't even. The Pro Bowl is so dumb. I don't even know who on earth would go to the Pro Bowl at this
I
point.
have
It's
not
just
watched the Pro Bowl in years.
they're
Yeah.
like playing dodgeball and like hitting. It's like the dumbest thing you've ever seen. I'm like, this has nothing to do with football. This is all gimmicks. Bring back the days of Sean Taylor cracking people at the 50 on a fucking the middle of the Pro Bowl, man. But no, seeing them just completely, just louse around and oh, throw it off my leg. Oh, what were the directions again? Okay, let me restart. Or
Yeah.
everybody. It's just it's like you're wasting my time. You're wasting the fans' time. I don't even know why I'm watching this. However, Pacers fans, another W for you guys in Indiana. Tyrese Halliburton, Benedict Mathurin, and Miles Turner pulled home the win there against I forget what their team name was, but it was Trey Young, Scotty Barnes, and Trey Young,
Team
Scotty
All-Stars.
yeah, team Scotty Barnes, Trey Young, and Tyrese Maxey, and then the first round picks: Paolo Banchero, Wemby, and Anthony Edwards. So there was a lot of talent there. Wemby took it seriously, so that was
Yeah.
nice. I mean, I'm not shocked that he did. Most Europeans, like at least in the skills challenge, it's like, oh, I get to pass.
Yeah.
That's when they get involved. But no, it was kind of funny. There were some funny moments. Scotty Barnes again throwing the ball behind his head, dribbling off of his leg a couple times. I think there was one where Tyrese Halliburton like knocked out two of the balls at once on the Pacers team, and like at one point nobody was going for the 6 point ball, and it was just like, what are you guys doing? They were all going to like the 4 and the 2, so that was kind of funny. And of course Anthony Edwards shooting left-handed threes and completely missing all of them,
Yeah.
um, which lends even more credence to Larry Bird's left-handed game where he still scored like 27 or 37 or something like that. Uh, you know, it's like, I mean, there's legends that do it, and then there's guys fucking around. So, what were your thoughts on the skills challenge? Any points of criticism, or
Yeah, I'm not a really big fan of the teams, I guess. I really enjoyed skills when it was a solo type thing. I remember when Jokic did it in 2016 or 2017. Chris Stapps did it before. It was a lot of fun when I feel like it was solo players doing it. And
Mhm.
I'm not saying I don't like the team format. I just think the solo players made it a lot more fun because you got to see the best guards. And even
Yeah.
then they started integrating bigs into it, which was really fun as well. Because it was always a guard from when the skills started, it was always a point guard winning. And then it moved on, and then center started winning it, and it was really fun. And I'd like to see the solo format come back.
Yeah, I agree. I think that'd be a lot better. Plus, I like to see just more players from more teams get an opportunity as opposed to like, you know,
Yes.
especially because it's all, if they're not going to make the All-Star team, I feel like if you're going to do the skills challenge, if you're going to do the 3 point contest, that should be a point where you're bringing in as many people who aren't considered All-Stars into the weekend just
Yeah.
to, showcase as many people as possible.
definitely.
Um, Next up, we had the 3-point contest where
Yeah.
Damian Lillard,
He-
uh, Mr. Bubble himself. This is All Star Weekend is where Damian Lillard brings home all the gold. Okay, this is where Dame shines. This is where he takes his anger out on everybody. It's like, oh, I can't win the actual MVP. Give me the All Star MVP. Oh, I can't actually beat Steph in a 3-point contest. Let me win it. Let me win here. It's like the All Star Weekend just feels like Damian Lillard revenge tour at this point. But Dame did win.
Yeah.
Uh, 26 in the first round, 26 in the finals. Trae Young dropped 26 and then 24 in the finals. Cat dropped 26, 22 in the final. Oh, wait. Am I reading this wrong? No, I'm reading it right. Yeah. Tyrese dropped 26. Or wait, I'm so confused.
Why?
The score, what they're saying 16, 15, 16, 12. I have no idea what the hell they're counting. That makes no sense. Damian Lillard won though. Trae Young was in second place. Cat was in third place.
Yeah.
The other contestants were Tyrese Halliburton, Laurie Markkinen, Jalen Brunson, Donovan Mitchell, and Malik Beasley. I knew Malik was going to lose. Like the number one thing is if you're a legitimate jump shooter, the 3-point contest is going to be hell for you. It's
Yeah.
like it's because you're trying to go quickly and replicating a jump shot is really difficult when you're doing it stationary a ton of times. Um, so Malik, I kind of knew was going to lose. Donovan Mitchell, same deal. He kind of jumps, but he also has a very wide stance. So that
Yeah.
was to me, I was like, yeah, that's going to be funky. I had a feeling Dame would win just because again, this is like a revenge tour thing, but I was also confident in Trey. I think Trey is just he's got himself he got a really good shot, so that's kind of perfect for the 3-point contest. Um, Cat also did pretty well again. He went in 2022, right? Or
Yeah.
2023?
Yeah. He either won last year or the year before. I don't remember. It was either in the last 2 years. I remember that because Dame won the last 2 years as well. I
Okay.
couldn't remember which. I know they both won it like the last few years. I just don't remember which
Mhm.
year.
Yeah. So he did well as also. It was cool to see Larry Markkinen in there. I
Yeah,
think
he's done good before.
yeah, I think it's just he's one of the more underrated players in this league. So
Yeah.
showcasing him as much as possible to me is a very good thing. Um, Brunson, I don't know if I'm surprised I didn't do too well. He's been very good from three as far as the league goes, but traditionally, I wouldn't
Lillard won it
categorize him as a 3-point shooter. What happened?
Dame won it last year.
Dame won last year and Cat the year before. Okay, so Cat 2022. What were your thoughts on the 3-point contest? Who did you have going into it winning this thing?
I'm not gonna lie, I had Markkinen. I really thought he was
Oh,
gonna
really?
that's them because he was it last year or the year before? I think it was last year that he was in it and he did very well. And yes, it was last year he was in it, and he did very well for last year. I remember, yeah, the Julius Randle year. Yeah, he was in it last year. He did
Mm.
very well last year. I was like, oh, okay, I could see him maybe winning. But yeah, it was more so biased. I either wanted him or Brunson more so to win, but I wasn't really surprised seeing Cat or I wouldn't have been surprised whatsoever if Dame or Cat won. It would have made lots of sense because they've won it before, and like you're saying, jump shot the style of jump shot and the way they shoot, it does play a big part in 3-point contests. So Damian Lillard has like one of the most pure shots, and like you're saying, doesn't jump too high. So
Yeah. I remember watching like when I still had my hoop up and like watching the how to shoot videos, like how to shoot like NBA players. Like
yeah,
Dame's shooting form is so unique because most
perfect.
guys like they keep a space under the ball from their palm and they're using more of their fingertips.
Yeah,
Like Dame is a palm shooter.
yeah,
And so people always wonder like how does he have I every time he went out to the longer ones, the Mountain Dew shots, I was like, if he's hitting any of them, it's gonna be those ones.
yeah,
Like his shot is absolutely like tailor made to shoot deep, because he's getting all the range shooting with his palm. And he's got the kind of snapback motion too, with his arm. So it's perfect for it. And I mean, Jesus, in the All-Star game, he had a half court shot.
yeah. He
And
did.
not
He
like
walked into it.
yeah, it was a legit pull up jump shot. It was
Oh,
not
half
like
court.
a
Yeah,
half quarter. He was like legit. Like I've taken this shit before. So
yeah. I'll take it. Yeah,
yeah, it was kind of funny.
yeah.
Um, but that's Dame, man. So congrats there for him winning
Yeah,
another one. Add more to the All Star game resume of to the All Star game lore of Damian Lillard. But
definitely.
yeah. Following that, we had some history. And this was I was super excited for this. I think a lot of people were excited.
Yeah.
Steph Curry faced Sabrina Ionescu or Ionescu. I always mispronounce it. It's Ionescu, not Ionescu. Who's one of the best players in the WNBA, playing for the
Mhm.
New York Liberty, one of the best shooters as well.
Yeah.
Um, Faced him in a 3-point contest. And this got teased like a month or two ago. And then it became a reality. Sabrina set the record for the most threes made in a 3-point contest in
Yeah.
either sports history just a few months back. And that was pretty insane to see. I watched that whole thing a few times and it was just
Yeah.
like, man, she was not missing.
Yeah,
Oh
not at
my
all.
God.
Not
She's got a
whatsoever.
pure form, man.
Okay.
She's got a pure form. And everyone was like, all the little insecure men coming out. Oh, she's not gonna use the 3-point line, the ball and the rim, and all the
They're
complaints.
hating.
And she said, "I'm gonna step back and use the NBA line. I'm gonna use the NBA line." Um, Little biology fact: a lot of women, most women, have smaller hands than men, which means the ball that women use
Makes sense.
proportionately fit their hand just like an NBA ball would fit a man's hand. So if you're mad about the ball difference, there's nothing to be mad at. Sabrina tied Damian Lillard for the most threes in
Yes.
that entire 3-point contest at 26. However, Steph won. Uh,
Yeah.
and that's because Steph's the greatest shooter of all time. So
Yes.
not ultimately surprised, but the pressure was on him. Like he went
Definitely.
second.
26. Yeah.
Yeah, the pressure was on, and there, Steph's not one of those guys. Steph's like he has two daughters. Very forward, not maybe not forward thinking, but very forward as far as like
Women's sports though.
uplifting women's
Yeah,
sports
yeah.
and
He
doing a
talked
ton
about
for
the
women's
WNBA.
sports.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
and so even though that's the case, the you know losing to a woman, I imagine, for a lot of these guys is probably a tough blow to the ego. So this was probably one where Steph was like, "Oh hell no!" Like I'm sure there was a point that I don't. I so my internet went out right in the middle of the 3-point contest and
Mhm.
didn't come back until like midway through the dunk contest. So I was watching on the NBA app on the Mosaic cam. So I didn't get to see Steph too much, like his reactions, but I got to imagine there was a point where he was like, okay, okay. And then she's just not missing. And his face just starts like
So
going
the
from excited to just like, oh.
Yeah, it was the I want to say he was at like 21 until the final rack. So there was like still a chance where
Yeah.
he almost lost, but I think he had all his money balls in the
On the
corner. And
last
then,
one. Yeah.
yeah, so that's where he caught up right there. But yeah, no. She definitely had him on the ropes for a bit because like I was saying, he only had 21 going into the last rack. So he had a lot of pressure on him.
Yeah.
Uh,
And she had an absolutely electric start.
oh
She
yeah.
made like 7 or 8
Yeah.
in a row. It was, I was just like,
Stupid.
I was blown away
Yeah.
because like, sure, the pressure was on Steph, but
Oh, it's
geez,
on her too
man.
as well.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, you got to
She's gonna get
imagine. I
caught.
mean, she
Yeah,
was
she did
probably
that.
just like
Yeah.
freaking out in
I
her
have to
head.
will. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And she delivered very well because I mean, like we're saying, she tied the men's scores. I mean,
yeah. She would have
you
been in the
can't really
finals of the
yeah hate on
actual
it. Yeah, she
contest.
would have made the final. You can't hate on it. Like she came in and she performed very well. So I'll
Yeah,
have to her, man. She did very well against Steph. And
hell
like you said,
yeah,
the greatest shooter of all time. She had him on the ropes for a little bit, but it is Steph Curry, so it makes sense.
yeah. And what's super cool is, it just takes one person to kind of change the narrative of what's normal.
Yeah,
And I would love to, have my crystal ball and look 10 years down the road and, you know, maybe there's integration as far as like women into men's sports with because of this. It's like, hey, it is. I mean, what are you going to tell me? There aren't guys on the NBA roster that only shoot, that don't defend, that don't rebound, that don't pass, that don't do anything but shoot threes. You're telling me you can't bring in a Sabrina, you know?
yeah,
So it would be kind of cool if there was like the NBA kind of just became a big kind of conglomeration of basketball talent as a whole. Because I think, we're not far off from getting to the point. I mean, Jesus, women's college basketball
Better
is,
than men's right now, man.
oh yeah, they are
Significantly better than men's
cooking.
basketball because men's basketball, oh my God, it is so boring to watch. But women's basketball, a whole different story. It is the best it's ever been for sure, for to me at least, because
100%.
you got a lot of powerhouses. And then when you got someone as good as Caitlin Clark, man, you can't even deny it, bro. That's just it's insane right now.
Yeah, and the skill level. One thing I talked about, my biggest criticism with women's basketball is kind of the play design. It was very traditional,
Yeah,
and they weren't doing much advanced stuff. It was pretty,
basic. Yeah,
triangle offense, stuff like that, and simple traditional basketball. But there, you're really starting to see people branch out and bring
yeah,
in that flair, and sort of like break the mold of what's normal.
yeah,
And the
definitely.
more we see that, I think the entire women's basketball landscape is just going to shift dramatically, and
No,
I'm
100%.
excited for it, man. I'm excited. They deserve the out or outpour of fan involvement, and
Excellent.
they deserve it, man. They've been working hard, so
Yeah, no,
it's
I'm
yeah,
with you on that 100%. It is very much needed because yes, like we were saying, the sport, the college at least, college women's right now is insanity. It's perfect. It is very
yeah,
fun, and I hope a lot of more fans respect it because it's very good basketball being played. It's nothing to scoff at. Like we're saying, it's better than men's basketball to watch right now. It's not close. I mean, men's basketball is insanely boring at the moment. It is nothing fun. The prospects aren't what they were a few years ago. Women's
yeah.
basketball, on the other hand, for college, it's a whole different story. It's really fun to watch. So if any of you guys ever have time to watch a game, I'd recommend checking out any of the games. University of South Carolina game, they're like undefeated in the regular season for the last few years. UConn's still very fun to watch. You have teams like obviously Caitlin Clark, Iowa. You have LSU, bunch of teams out there that are really fun to watch, and I recommend anyone to watch it if they have the time to. And if you don't want to watch men's college right now, because man, I don't even know how we feel about the tournament this year, man. I'm not really looking forward to it. It's in a weird place.
Yeah, it's the men like college basketball for the men is it
It's not what it was.
yeah, and I think the prospect system as of right
Oh,
now is just in a really
yeah,
it's everybody's trying to find that guy.
yeah,
And like seeing that with Cooper Flag, and it's like there's flair, there's flash, but
yeah,
if you watch Cooper Flag, if you watch people who know what they're talking about, break it down, there's really not that much there. It's kind of like you got a lot of Jalen Greens in today's college G League Ignite,
yeah,
all the academy schools and all that. You got a lot of Jalen Greens, guys with a lot of flash who have the ability to score at all three levels, but aren't really basketball players.
yeah.
They're more of individual athletes.
Mhm.
And you really see it once they get to the league. I mean, geez, man, I like Scoot. I thought Scoot was a great prospect coming in, but up until the last like month or two,
Yeah,
he's really struggled. He's really,
yeah,
and I know Portland's in an awkward situation, and I know in general, it's kind of he entered a very awkward situation in Portland.
yeah.
Um,
Most
and
definitely.
I don't think Scoot's a bust by any means, but
Oh,
I think you're seeing that it's like a lot of these guys that scouts are envisioning to be these just unstoppable forces
maybe not
really
so.
aren't that.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's typically the guys that we're seeing now that it's like, yeah, they're cool. And
mhm.
no one's really caring about like Jabari Smith Jr. He was cool.
Yeah,
Like, but nobody was talking about him in that draft. It was like he was the afterthought. Nobody's talking about Evan Mobley. He was the afterthought. It was like, yeah, Evan Mobley's cool, but rather have this guy. Or Scotty Barnes is cool, but I'd rather have him. You
yeah.
know, like those guys that are the afterthoughts of the early first round. They're really starting to show out.
Oh, definitely.
I think they're proving themselves more than this guy's for real. Like
Mhm.
he's the real deal. We just haven't really seen that breakout from most of them. So, I
Definitely.
think Wemby's kind of the outlier as far as all these next gen players go. Of just like, okay, he's dominant. Chet,
Yeah,
I would put in that category too. I think Chet's shocked practically everybody. I don't think anyone was expecting this level of first year production.
probably not. Yeah, I would think that.
But yeah, so overall I kind of went on a side note there, but yeah, women's college sports, check them out, man. It's getting a
Hopefully,
lot better.
hopefully.
Lot more flashes coming into things, and I hope that the WNBA is able to capitalize on this. So
Definitely. I hope they are too, because they have lots of prospects coming in this year. So we will see. Obviously, seeing Paige reclassify.
Beckers, yeah, she's going back to was it Duke or
You
UConn? I always get
so
Duke, Georgetown, and UConn confused.
yeah, well, it's kind of a bad thing for the WNBA, but we'll see.
Yeah, yeah. So, but it's nice for her. I think she missed a year because of an injury.
For
So
for ACL, I believe. Yeah.
yeah, so good for her.
Yeah.
I honestly respect that. Like
Oh
it's a
yeah.
lot of guys are just like, regardless, one and done. I had my time, but in women's basketball is where you typically see them staying longer and
Yeah.
longer. And I mean, it makes more sense. At this point, they're probably making a lot more money from NIL
Oh,
stuff
NIL.
than
Yeah, NIL. Yeah,
yeah.
it's 2% more money.
Yeah, having to hear that like WNBA players are having to go overseas to play during the off season, it's kind of heartbreaking, you know.
Yeah.
It's like that's you hear that in minor league baseball, of
Yeah.
like, yeah, I had to go
Exactly.
work at Pizza Hut when I
Yeah.
wasn't playing. It's like, damn, man, that shouldn't be happening.
Yeah.
But you know, I hope we're turning a corner in women's sports. So this is
Yeah.
it's very cool to see. So congrats to Sabrina, changing
Definitely.
history, doing a ton of stuff here. Um, Losing to Steph, like honestly,
That's not,
it feels like
that's not that
wrestling.
bad.
Yeah, it's like in wrestling sometimes losing actually does more good for you than winning would. So this feels like one of those things, and I think Sabrina did so well that it's like almost puts pressure on these leagues of like, damn, all right. Well, we can't say we're not ready. We can't say we don't have the talent anymore. Like, you know, people who've been, shitting on women's sports, it's like, ugh, she went toe to toe with the greatest to ever do it.
Yeah.
Are you telling me that women can't step in here?
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, really cool to see. Last but not least, we've got the All Star game itself. Damian Lillard pulled home the sweep of awards that he participated in, winning the 3-point contest and the All Star game MVP as the East becomes the first team in any NBA game, I think, uh, All Star game included, to score over 200 points in one game at 211.
Yeah.
So, you know, cool, but they're not trying. So, whatever. But uh, West scored 186. Big game for individual performances. Again, Damian Lillard with the MVP, 39 points on 11 of 23 shooting from three, 14 of 26 from the field in total. You had a 32 point performance from Tyrese Halliburton, which was great for the city of Indianapolis. 10 threes made, and he was cooking in the first quarter. I think he was like 5 of 5 from three in the first like 90 seconds or something. Pretty ridiculous. Dope to see there. Jaylen Brown had 36 points, 6 of 12 from three. Good makeup performance from him after an absolutely miserable dunk contest. Um, from the West side, Karl Anthony Towns, similar to his actual 60-point performance, decided to just shoot every shot possible. Took 35 of them MFers and dropped 50. I don't even know if I want to say he dropped 50. It's like on 35 shots, that's more like you finally got to 50. So, yeah. And then we had 31 from Shea on 7 of 10 shooting from three, 12 of 16 from the field. Pretty much a Shea Gilgeous-Alexander game, regardless, minus the 3-point shooting as opposed to free throws. But yeah, man, cool. It was fun. There were some fun moments. I like the little tic tac toe passing from Jokic and Luka Doncic down the floor. A little one-handed passes back and forth into I think the Shea dunk. That was pretty funny. Damian Lillard hit the big half-court shot that we talked about. Tyrese started off hot. Got to see some vintage LeBron dunks. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown having some Celtics moments together. Steph hit a couple cool threes. overall, it was a pretty cool little performance. What were some of your favorite parts of the game, and how did you think about the, or what did you think about the All Star game in general?
Yeah, I mean it's been this way for a while now. I mean, very high scoring, fun game. Not the most effort put into it, which we expect now about every year now. It's pretty much expected. But no, it was really fun seeing the Damian Lillard and Halliburton backcourt for when they were playing together because it was really fun
Yeah,
seeing Halliburton was passing him a few times and he's just launching them, and then same with Halliburton. It was just fun seeing that, but. I'm gotta say I'm stunned that the West lost like that, man. Because every year when it was West versus East, man, West used to dominate them. And you look at this West team, and it's like, all right, this is a team like everyone like top to bottom, probably going to be a Hall of Famer. And I look at the East, and I'm like, it's not that I don't think that. I don't think they're not phenomenal players, but some of these guys, I wouldn't be really shocked if they didn't make it into the Hall of Fame. But I was just kind of like, I don't know, man. It's just like I feel like the West on paper is significantly better than the East. I was just not
yeah.
expecting it to get done that bad because it wasn't a close game, really. Like you were saying, Halliburton kind of made it out of reach right away. I mean, he lit them up immediately. So it wasn't really ever a close game at any part of the game, I would say, really, not like any point of it. It wasn't necessarily close. So
I think the closest was like 12 points, and then that
yeah,
immediately ballooned
yeah,
into like a
that
20
coming up.
something again.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. So
yeah.
it's like, yeah, I was just kind of stunned they got kind of dominated like that. But nevertheless, very fun game. Like we were saying, it's mostly for fun. I don't think there's really too much else to say about it.
Yeah. It's like for me at this point, if you want to play like this, if you want to treat the skills competition like it's just a joke, if you want to, if like we're only going to see real effort in the 3 point contest, just
Yeah,
honestly, wherever you're going, make it free. Just let people in. Let people come see the game. If no one's gonna
100%.
try,
Yeah,
then you might as well. It's like again, I'm a wrestling fan, so I compare a lot of stuff to wrestling. But like when big time Hollywood stars, like obviously not The Rock, but like when Logan Paul came into WWE, like most people can complain and say like, "Hey, this is bullshit. He's taking opportunities from someone who deserves it." But the way like most wrestling fans and actual performers themselves think is like the more eyes on the product we get, the better for business. So
yeah,
it's like if you go in and just say, listen, the next All-Star game, you guys don't want to try, fine. But there's no ticket sales. It's just as many people that want to show up as possible are going to be able to show up. We'll have viewing events outside and everything. There's going to be a lot of, fan stuff they can do outside. Just make it a whole like actual fan fest kind of thing almost at that point, because it's just again it feels like such a waste of people's time and money if they're going to be paying top dollar to see guys just treat this like it's backyard bullshit. Um but yeah, overall, I would still say it was a fun experience. It just I really like I miss, like you said, I miss the competition. I miss when it was like actually about who's better. We like the players caring about, hey, y'all suck. All right. West is still on top. Like it used to
yeah,
matter, but
it
nowadays it
did.
just doesn't. So um yeah, I would say that the event that still dominated the entire thing was Steph and Sabrina. I think Sabrina just put on an absolute show, and it was super sick to watch. I think the dunk contest was just it. It was so whatever. Like Mac McClung retains, cool.
It's
It
whatever.
is what it is.
To
Yeah,
be honest, I wasn't even really paying attention to be honest for the dunk contest this year. I haven't
yeah,
been. It's just it's really lost its touch, man. I don't know. It's not the same
yeah.
whatsoever.
It feels like another one where it's like you have to force people to do this at this point. Like
Yeah,
you can't just keep throwing, like I don't want to say no names. I know who Mac McClung is. I know who Jacob Toppin is, but it's like the casual fan that's going to the All-Star game is
yeah,
like, who? Like
yeah.
they're
Maybe
expecting
I'll
to
back
see big
McClung.
names.
Yeah,
Yeah.
even then, it's like it's not even that it's a bad thing. It's just like you're having
Yeah.
G carry your your whole thing. You have no NBA players that are like really entertaining this competition. It's a G
Yeah.
League thing. It's like you got to figure out something to do because I remember they were saying Ja might do it, but obviously you can't because of the injury. But
Yeah.
and it's like all right, but it's just like I don't know. I don't know if it's like the talent pool for it or what. Because yeah, right now Dunk contest is in a very bad place, man. It's definitely not what it was. Definitely.
Yeah, it's and we all talk about, because I agree, it's like All-Star Weekend is, it's a lot of just kind of gimmicky things, but some of the greatest NBA moments have occurred in the dunk contest. Like some of the most iconic moments: Vince Carter's dunks, Jason Richardson's dunks, Baron Davis, Nate Robinson, Dwight Howard with the Superman cape. Like some of the greatest moments in NBA history come from the dunk contest. So it's like, as much as I think it's cool when you're able to bring in more players that aren't, necessarily all stars into the mix. It's
Yeah.
like this is one of your premier events during the year, and to not have a single big name participating.
Jaylen Brown, but even then, he was
That was
lackluster.
so bad. It was
It was
so
bad.
bad. The
Bad.
fact that he had Kai Sanat, okay, so I think Kai's like 5'5", 5'6". He
I
had
thought he
him
was
sitting
5'3".
down. Really? He's
Like five
shorter than
three.
the, okay. That's even worse then. He had Kai Sanat not just there holding the ball,
Sitting
sitting
down.
in a fucking chair. Like that's almost embarrassing, frankly. And then not only that, the cap on this man, Jaylen Brown afterwards, we all saw him afterwards pretends as though he had his eyes closed, dunking the ball. It was just embarrassing. Like he finishes the dunk and like has his arm over his eyes, like he didn't watch it go through. It's like we saw you like come down and then decided it was terrible. Mac McClung still had a couple really cool dunks. One of them, I don't know how on earth it wasn't a 50. That was just what was his name? The Dillman, I think, or something like that. He was one of the judges. He's like a Indiana basketball legend. Um, but he or one of the, I think, like OGs of the dunk contest, if I'm not mistaken, something like that. But he gave like Mac McClung on that like double clutch, catch the ball, throw it reverse, get like a 46, and then gave
Yeah.
Jaylen Brown, who just did like a normal side
So like
tomahawk.
a 50, right?
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
what? Like what?
Yeah.
It's so dumb at this point. But yeah, I think we're nearing a point where it's like either make it free for everyone. If no one's gonna try, if this is just gonna be a fun little fan event for the players to just relax, make it free. Like, why are you making people pay to see this shit? Um, or like contractually obligate people. It's like, hey, I want this to be a close game. If it's not a close game, y'all are taking a hit financially. That's gonna be a
Yeah.
fine, something like that. Or tell Zion, look, man, in your contract, you got to participate in every dunk contest. There's no reason that dude should not be participating. When Jaw's healthy, he should be in it. Donovan Mitchell, he should be in it. There's just zero. Giannis should be in it. You know the amount of insane stuff Giannis can do. You
Yeah.
know, I'm sure with ease that man could recreate Michael Jordan's dunk from the free throw line, like with ease. Like there's so much insane stuff that can go down at the dunk contest if people just got like contractually obligated to do it. So I would like to see that in the future, but I don't know the legality of that and if it's like possible, if that's like kind of illegal to do. I don't know, but yeah. Anyways, you have any closing thoughts on the whole All Star Weekend or?
No, but I mean it was another fun event. Like we said, it was still a fun event. Not we I know we sound like we're probably a little negative on it. We still thought it
Yeah,
was fun for sure, but definitely here and there's still a few negatives about it for sure. And I don't think that's I think most fans would agree with us that it's definitely not what it once was. But I still think it's a very fun event and it's very good for the players for sure. But definitely hoping for a bit more next year, but probably a bit of the same. I would imagine they don't really change too much going forward. But no, not really much too else, man. It seems like well, we resume basketball on Thursday. Is that when it resumes?
Thursday, yeah, 22nd.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean, for now, nothing big I can think of has really gone through.
Yeah,
Uh, Giants signed Jorge Soler. That's the only thing I can think of. That's baseball.
yeah,
So
and re-signed Pablo Sandoval for
yeah, yep, yep.
the
They both
retirement tour.
yeah, 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 yeah. Right. But aside from that, I cannot think of anything for basketball whatsoever.
Yeah, so other than that, I guess we'll see you guys in the next episode. I'll come up with a couple videos that we could do we could do during this little break here. So if you enjoy the content, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Let us know your thoughts about the All Star Game. What do you think about the events? Do you think it's been going in the right direction, the wrong direction? Any changes you'd like to make? Love to hear your thoughts below. Obviously, go check out In the Moment Hoops, linked in the description, as always. Um, that being said, have a good rest of your weekend and week, and we will see you guys probably next weekend in another podcast. So be on the lookout for that. And with that being said, peace.